Getting paid can be one of the most stressful parts of running a web design agency, and it can often be the difference between an agency that thrives or one that goes under. In this video, I'm going to share 10 actionable steps that you can implement today to help you get paid quicker and reduce the associated stress. These are the same steps that I used when I ran my agency, and it helped me to reduce late or non-payment down to an absolute minimum. Plus, if you make it all the way to the end, I've got 2 bonus tips for you. Hi, thanks for joining. If you're new to this channel, I'm Rich Dean, a web designer and developer, former web agency owner, and author of the book series Start, Grow and Sell Your Web Design Agency. My goal is to help anyone looking to start, grow and sell an agency to save time, earn more money, avoid the common mistakes and pitfalls, and build a thriving and valuable business. Okay, so on to the main topic, starting with number 1, take getting paid seriously. Okay, so this might sound obvious, but if you don't take getting paid seriously, then neither will your clients. Now, not everyone is comfortable talking about money, and some people feel that it's vulgar. But if you want to be paid quicker, then this is something that you're going to have to deal with. We're also quite fortunate that as web designers, developers, and agency owners, we've chosen a career that we love, and we do work that we really enjoy. But that doesn't change the fact that we're in business to make money, and every business needs healthy cash flow to survive. If you don't make getting paid one of your top priorities with every client that you work with, then your agency could suffer long term. Why would your clients prioritize paying you if you don't make it clear to them that it's important? Number 2, have terms and conditions in place. Terms and conditions are an important legal element that you should have in place anyway, but they should also include detailed specifics about how and when your clients will need to pay you. So this can include things like how much the project will cost overall, whether you'll split the cost into chunks, whether payments will be on certain dates or to a set schedule, how quickly the client will be expected to pay you, what conditions will need to be met before invoices are sent, whether there will be any restrictions on the work until payment is made, and what the consequences for the client will be if they don't pay. This could be things like interest payments, late payment charges, or more serious actions. Terms and conditions don't need to cost a fortune though, and you can even buy templated versions online. But as with all things legal, I just need to state that I'm not a lawyer or legal expert, and this is not legal advice. I would always recommend speaking with a competent legal professional who can help you put these in place. Number 3, make sure clients sign your agreements before you start work. When you're quoting or proposing for new projects, I would always recommend putting everything into one document. This is so that both you and the client have a detailed document stating what work will be done and what each of your obligations will be. This document should also include your terms and conditions, as well as a place where both you and the client can sign it. That's an important point when it comes to getting paid. If your proposal document can act as a signed agreement between you and the client, it will give you 2 very clear benefits. First, it will make it clear to your clients that they're entering into a formal agreement with you. Going back to my first point, this will reinforce that being paid is a serious part of the agreement. Second, it gives you written proof to fall back on if there are any issues later down the line. Provided you stick to your side of the agreement, if the client then ever tries to avoid payment and you need to take action against them, you'll have written proof to back you up. Okay, so just before we go any further though, please don't forget to like and subscribe. This will really help us to grow the channel so that we can keep making helpful content just like this. Okay, back to the main topic. Number 4, be clear on when and how much you'll invoice. So this is very much tied to the previous couple of points, but you should make it clear from the outset when you'll send your invoices and how much they will be. Again, this will show to your clients that being paid is a top priority for you, and it will also give them a clear plan of when and how much they'll be expected to pay. Again, this should further reduce the chance of late or non-payment, as they won't be able to argue that they didn't know this information up front. Number 5, drip feed or restrict access to your work. Okay, so if we think about what the agency-client relationship is on a very basic level, it's a 2-way transaction. The agency delivers the work that the client wants, in this case a website, and the client pays the agreed amount to the agency to compensate them. It's important that you always keep that principle in mind whenever you do any work for a client. And because of this, it's also important that you constantly balance how much work you do on a project and how much you release compared to how much you've been paid at any one point. So to explain what I mean by this, It's very rare that any client would pay you the full amount for a project upfront before any work has been done. There would just be too much risk for them in case you didn't deliver the work and they lost their money. But equally, you should never do too much work before you've been paid. There would be too much risk for you in that situation. So to protect yourself, you should always drip feed the work and only deliver it in line with the client paying you. And never release a completed project or push a website live until the client has paid you in full, otherwise they won't have any incentive to pay you. Number 6, don't be afraid to pause a project if the client falls behind. If a client does stop paying you or doesn't pay you at all, then don't be afraid to stop all work on their project. This isn't always easy though, especially if the client is putting pressure on you to meet a deadline, or if you don't have any other work to fall back on. But it's really important that you do this. Again, the client should know that not being paid is a red line for you. If they want the project badly enough, and if they have the funds to pay you, then there should never be any reason why they should fall behind in the first place. If they do, then it could be a sign that they never really had the funds or they were trying to push their luck. Either way, by stopping work, you avoid essentially working for free if that client doesn't pay you. And it also means you can shift your priorities to other paying clients, which itself should also help your cash flow. Number 7, make sure you deliver the work promptly. So obviously, everything we're discussing here today is based on you sticking to your side of the bargain and delivering the work that was agreed. If you don't do this, if what you deliver ends up not being what was agreed, or not what the client was expecting, or if you're late delivering, then the client would have every right to delay payment or at least question it. Basically, don't give the client a reason not to pay you. Number 8, send invoices as soon as you can. You can't get paid until you send your invoices, so I'd recommend sending your invoices as soon as they're ready. The longer you delay, the longer it will take to get paid. Again, that might sound obvious, but you'd be surprised how many businesses I've seen, and not just web agencies, but all types of businesses who do work, but then don't send their invoices for weeks or even months after. And then they wonder why their cash flow is bad. So send your invoices as soon as they're ready. The way that I used to do this was to make every Friday my invoice day. So even if I hadn't had the chance to send an invoice on the day it was due, at the very latest, they would only ever be a couple of days behind. Number 9, set automated invoice reminders. Your clients will probably be busy people and they'll probably have a lot going on. Just because they don't see or pay your invoice straight away doesn't necessarily mean they're not going to. Sometimes they just need a little reminding. So there's nothing wrong with sending follow-up emails. And in fact, you'll probably find that most clients appreciate the nudge. Fortunately, if you're using accountancy software like Xero or QuickBooks, you can set these up automatically, saving you the time and hassle. Number 10, have a contingency plan for non-payment. Despite everything we discussed in this video and despite your best efforts, you'll never be able to completely avoid the risk of a client just not paying you. So it's important to have a backup plan if the worst does happen. If you've kept to your side of the bargain and you've exhausted all other avenues, then you may need to bring in some heavier consequences. Before you get there though, you may want to set yourself a timeline for what you consider late payment to be. For example, if you clearly state that all invoices should be paid within, say, 30 days, then you need to set clear points after this for what you define as being late, and then apply this consistently to all clients and projects. So it could be 1 month after that, or 2 months, or more. It's entirely up to you, but you'll need to decide at what point you think enough is enough and when you need to take more serious action. This could be taking the client to court, or it could be enlisting the help of a debt collection agency. The latter is actually quite popular as it takes the stress and hard work away from you. It can also help you to preserve the client relationship, especially if you make it a company policy and an automatic consequence. So if the client gets upset, then you can simply say that it's your policy with all clients once a payment goes past a certain point. Again, there are legal implications to this, so you should speak to a qualified legal professional before you consider anything like this. Okay, so those are my top 10 tips for getting paid quicker. As you've made it all the way to this point, here are those 2 bonus tips. Bonus tip number 1, do your research on the client. A lot of the stress and hassle of dealing with bad paying clients can be avoided or at least reduced by simply researching them before you start working with them. So simple steps like checking the client on places like Companies House or Endol can tell you a lot. Are they an established company, i.e. how long have they been trading? What's their turnover? Can they afford to pay you? Do they have any debts? Do they have lots of employees? That could indicate that they're a stable company that's more likely to pay you. Can you get information on the company directors? So have they started and then closed lots of different companies? That could be a sign of instability and it could be a red flag. Is there any negative publicity around the client? So do they have any negative reviews or bad press? You may not be able to get all this information, but anything you can get could give you a feel for whether you think working with them will be worth it. Bonus tip number 2, offer discounts or incentives for quick payment. So this is perhaps more of a niche or less used approach, and not all business owners employ this tactic, but you could consider offering your clients incentives to pay you quickly. So for example, you could give them a discount if they pay your invoices within a week or even a couple of days. Obviously, you'll need to be comfortable with losing a bit of the profit on the work, but then you also need to consider the flip side. If you have to spend a lot of time and effort chasing up late or non-paying clients, then that time also has a financial cost, not to mention all the stress that goes with it. So you'll need to weigh up what's more important to you. Okay, so hopefully you found this video useful and it will help you get paid quicker. If you've enjoyed it, then please don't forget to like and subscribe. This will really help us to grow the channel so that we can carry on making helpful content just like this. I also discussed this and many other topics in my book series Start, Grow and Sell Your Web Design Agency, which you can buy from Amazon now, and I'll share a link in the description below. And if you'd like to watch more informative content, then why not check out this video here. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.